What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well today. Here we are, and here's where we're at right now. Now, I'm going to give you guys an update video on what's going on with the 4.7 liter stroker that's in this Jeep. If you're new here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back and watch this video up in this corner here somewhere. I'm going to put a link to that. It's a couple videos back from this one, basically addressing what's going on with the engine that I put in this Jeep. I'm not going to get into detail in this video of what it's all about. Go back and watch that video and refresh yourself or enlighten yourself on what's going on. Anyway, here's where we're at. I have the engine pulled out behind me and it's on the stand. Now, I know to do a head gasket and rear main seal, you don't have to pull the engine out. By no means you have to pull the engine out, but I will tell you, it is a lot easier, much easier. So with that being said, let me just take you through and show you some of the things that I found. And you're gonna laugh at some of these things and just kind of shake your head as to why I was having so many issues. So let's cut right to it. So as you can see right here, I have the engine pulled out and the transmission is supported by actually a ratchet strap, but I have the jack underneath there so I can pull it up and down. And I just put a bag over top the input shaft so that I don't get any dirt in that grease. I will re-grease the throw-out bearing when I go to put the engine back in. The engine only has 1,800 to 2,000 miles on it, so that grease is fresh, but I'm just gonna put new grease on it anyway. So that's that, but let's swing over here to the engine. So as you can see, I have the new head put on, and I'll take you through some of the things that I've done and some of the things that I've found. So let me just do this. I'll put this in right now. Right here is a picture of the engine as I was tearing it down. As you can see, it is one of the cheapest of cheap head gaskets you can get. In the next picture here, you'll see I have a new head gasket in there. It's an MLS multi-layer steel gasket made by Edelbrock. Well, it's actually an Edelbrock gasket. I think it's actually Felpro. But then I have the ARP head studs put in there as well. And we head studded this engine. As you can see right here, we have head studs put in and went through all the torque sequences and tightened that all down. So we're good there. We used ARP assembly lubricant and everything on the threads, washers, and the nuts. Then if we cut to the rocker arms are put on here, as you go down through, you'll see the rocker arms are all put on and torqued down to spec. So as you can see, we got the valve cover put on and she's looking good. So we got it all back together. Head gasket is done. I got the spark plugs all done and I have a dab of anti-seize on the threads only when I put them in, and they're torqued down to 10 foot-pounds as per the instructions. You do not want them to gall in the aluminum head. Doesn't that thing look nice? I tell you what, look at that. That is really, really nice. High quality. It's a much thicker deck. Everything looks nice. Here is the old 0331 head. I think that thing weighs what you guys might know better than me, but it's like 60 to 70 pounds. This one here weighs 43 or something. So it's a much bigger weight difference. Have this put back on. The thermostat housing is put back on. I have the tube. I had to twist that out to get the head to clear. She's tight, but she misses down there. It's a tight fit, but there's definitely room there, as you can see. There you can see, and I didn't clean up the surface yet here to put a gasket on. But here's the intake and exhaust valves all in there, ready to rock and roll, do their thing. And it's not really poured and polished. It's a slightly poured in and polished head. So it's not a completely poured and polished head, but the intake, I'll let you guys look at all the specs, but the intake and exhaust valves are changed. The opening, the ports are open more than the 0331 and 0331 TUPY heads. Now, as you can see right here, I went through, and when I got this engine, I did not put the girdle on. That's a controversial thing. Some people say it's great. Other people say leave it alone. But I decided, since I was doing the rear main seal, I was going to put a girdle on. So we'll start with the rear main seal. I went and I pulled it apart, and here's where it got kind of funny. The rear main seal was put in, get this, backwards. Guys, did you hear me correctly? The rear main seal was put in backwards. The top half of the seal in the block was in backwards, and the part in the main cap was in correctly. Backwards! S&J engines put the rear main seal in backwards. No wonder it leaked. As you can see, the main cap is pulled off and it's ready to rock and roll. I got it all put back together with some Permatet or some Ultra Slick put on there. You see the main cap's all ready to go, and I have some Ultra Slick put on the bearing, all cleaned up, ready to go, and I have some anaerobic sealant dabbed on the main bearing cap where it's going to meet the block, and we got that torqued back down. And then I pulled all the main bolts out of all the main caps and put in a set of studs and put a spacer kit on made by ARP and put the washers on, and then put the nuts on the studs as well. And the worst part was I had to clearance the oil pan. Doesn't look too bad. I actually heated it up with a torch and then pounded it out, because when you lower the crank girdle, it does contact the oil pan. So what I did is heated it up. I'm gonna touch it up with some black VHT high temp paint. And what you do is you kind of massage that out so it doesn't hit, and you're ready to go. So I have a brass hammer and a socket, and that cleared the front just fine. Then what I did is I laid some, as you can see right here, I laid some grease on the girdle, and I sat the pan up against the bottom of the block without the gasket in there. And whenever I finally stopped having grease transfer onto the actual oil pan, we called it good. As you can see here, we got it all buttoned back up with, again, another Felpro one-piece silicone gasket, and she's ready to rock and roll. So my only holdup now is this right here. I ordered a Banks intake exhaust manifold gasket, and here is what it looks like. I got it out of the box and it is jacked up. So I have not heard anything back from them. So I went and ordered a new gasket from Edelbrock, and it's going to fit the ports as well. The reason I went with the Banks is because I'm running the Banks header, and I don't want to use the old one there that's laying on the floor. And it has the correct size ports for the intake and exhaust valves on the header, which is laying right over here, ready to go back on. All right, guys and gals, that was kind of a whirlwind update, but there it is behind me. She's all ready to go back in. Once I get the intake manifold, exhaust manifold gasket combination there on, I'll be able to put the intake manifold on, the header back on, and then we'll be ready to stuff this thing back in the flywheel did not fit on the engine with the stand, so we pulled that off. I'm gonna put new ARP bolts back in there, red Loctite them, and we'll be ready to go. I did chase all the threads, did everything I could to make this thing correct, cleaned everything thoroughly, went over the block for about an hour, just cleaning everything and make sure it was completely clean for the head gaskets. Hopefully we have no issues as we move forward here, and just wanted to give you guys an update of where we're at, and hopefully this week we'll get this thing shoved back in the Jeep, plug everything back in about an hour or two, and be making noise again. So there we go, there we're at it. I just want to let you know we're moving right along, and thank you guys so much for following along, and we'll catch you on the next one. I tell you what, she is sure a pretty sight with that aluminum head sitting on the top of there. It is definitely way, way, way beefier than the 0331 head that came off there. Got the oil topped off, forgot to mention that, the new Wix filter, and we're ready to rock and roll. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.